Hi everybody, welcome to Aisha's Med Corner. Today I'll be talking all about content review. So I'll talk about the books that are available out there, the YouTube videos that can help save your score. As well, I will talk about my general strategy that I used when I took the MCAT, and I will provide you with a sample weekly schedule. So if that sounds like a good idea too, then please keep on watching. Now, before we begin, please do subscribe to my channel for pre-med strategy, mental health videos, as well as lifestyle videos. I really do appreciate your support, and I am a new YouTuber and every single like really counts. So let's just get started. Now, I like to think of the MCAT divided up into 3 phases, 3.5 actually. The first 0.5 phase is you taking all your prerequisites and mastering the foundational concepts and then doing the MCAT. So the prerequisites, I'll put it up here, but these include courses like biology, biochemistry, organic chemistry, general chemistry, physics. And these are all prerequisites that are recommended to take before you attempt your MCAT. And why I am saying that is it will be much difficult if you don't take these prerequisites and self-study, because again, your MCAT, usually people study it over the summer, and to master these concepts from scratch, it's going to be very difficult. I also made a video on whether a prep course is good or not, and it's right there. So I suggest you watch that first and then come back to this video, because in that video I talk about my honest experience taking the Princeton Review MCAT prep course and what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it. And I also ask you 2 questions on whether to assess whether a prep course is good for you or not. But this video is all about self-study method. So when you're taking your science classes, I want you to really master the concepts and do not memorize anything, because MCAT is a application-based test. Yes, there are some knowledge-based memory questions sprinkled here and there, but majority in my experience have been questioned based on application of some foundational concept. And usually it's these, let's say a lab experiment, and then you have to apply the foundational concepts to answer those questions. So really understand the material. Maybe I can make a video in the future on how to really study for your science classes and get that A+, but that's for later. So ensure that you have a deep understanding of these foundational concepts. So now phase 1 is the content review. This phase should not be too long. If your entire MCAT study schedule is you just studying the content for majority of your summer and then just taking 1 or 2 practice tests, then you're doing it wrong, because again, MCAT is all about practice, all about application. And if you just passively sit down and just read textbooks, you're not going to exercise that muscle in your brain where you apply these concepts in novel situations. So let's say that you're studying the MCAT from May and you're taking it in September or end of August, then 1 to 2 months maximum should be dedicated towards content review. And remember, if you had taken the prerequisites, that means that you don't really need to relearn these materials, and so you just need a quick review. And practice, again, is so much better than passive review, and I'm going to tell you how you can incorporate active practice in your content review phase, so that you're not only just reading a textbook and memorizing concepts, because that's not going to get you anywhere. And in this video, the one that I talked to you about, the prep course one, I tell you what my score is, but if you follow my steps, you can easily score a really good score if you were aiming for 515 and above. Now, this is a plan assuming you've finished all your prerequisites and you've done well in them. If you haven't completed certain prerequisites, then adjust your schedule to a longer time frame. So if a normal study period requires 3 to 4 months, then if you haven't done your prerequisites, then maybe stretch that to 6 months or a year, because you're self-teaching these things instead of attending a lecture and going through that process. So let's talk about materials. Now, MCAT has been part of my life since 2017. In 2017, I was studying for it, and then I didn't feel ready, so I didn't take it. 2018, I took it, but my CAR score was not that good. 2019, I finally took it, and thankfully I got that score that I wanted. So over the years, I've really gathered tips and tricks that help me, and I would love to pass it on to you. So the books, I have experience with all three: Exam Crackers, Kaplan, and the Princeton Review. And I've read all of them, not in its entirety, but I have read enough to know what they offer. Now, I would say the main differences between these three are the level of details. And in my opinion, the least detailed, the most bare bone is Exam Cracker. There's a lot of information missing. And then in my opinion, now a lot of people might disagree, but the next I would say is Princeton Review has the next level of detail, and then Kaplan, in my opinion, had the most details. And it all depends on what kind of student are you. Do you get overwhelmed with the level of detail, or would you prefer the more the better? It all depends on you. Now, Kaplan, I checked the prices. Kaplan right now is 230 Canadian dollars. Princeton Review is 180. I think it's on sale. Exam Cracker book set is 256. Again, not a big difference. So price points, going with one option over the other is not going to make much of a difference. So you have to see other factors. You should make sure that you buy books 2015 and above. If it's 2015, even if you're reading an edition from 2015, it's not going to make much of a difference because the content stays the same. But make sure you're buying a book that covers the new MCAT. And so again, it's the level of details. If you want a really detailed book, then go with Kaplan. Princeton is not far behind, but Exam Cracker, in my opinion, is very bare bone. And also, in terms of practice questions, Kaplan has the most practice questions. So if that's important to you, go with Kaplan. And so I would recommend Exam Cracker. Use this only if you're feeling very strong about your subjects. Like, let's say you have taken all your prerequisites, or this is your second time taking the MCAT and you just don't want to go through all the books again, use Exam Cracker. I was lucky enough that a friend let me borrow the Exam Cracker book, so I used Exam Cracker alongside with Princeton in my last attempt, because again, I had taken the MCAT the year before. I did really well on my science section, so I just didn't want to go through the hassle of going through, I don't know how many chapters there are in Kaplan or Princeton Review. In terms of Princeton Review versus Kaplan, I know this is COVID times, but if you're able to go into the store, Indigo, read it, see what style speaks to you, the design, the writing style. Questions, again, Kaplan has more. And there are free MCAT books I had free MCAT books in my school library. So if you don't want to buy it, if you don't want to invest in don't buy multiple editions, first of all. But if you like to just see how the books are, then visit your local library or your school library. Chances are they will have not only free books, but they also have free practice full length. So please do check it out and read and see what speaks to you, because honestly, between Princeton Review and Kaplan, I don't see much of a difference, just the amount of practice questions. But I really like Princeton Review and out of all of them, and that's just a personal preference. But only use Exam Cracker if you're super confident about your subject matters and if you just don't want that like in-depth review. But if this is your first time taking the MCAT, then go with either Princeton Review or Kaplan. Both are equally good. Again, it all depends on what speaks to you. Now, psychology sociology is very interesting in my opinion because in my opinion, none of the books really do a good job of covering psychology and sociology. So I personally, in my first attempt of MCAT, I got a 128. And in my second attempt, I got a 132. And I will do a video on why, like, I made that jump. But in my opinion, you should supplement your psychology sociology textbook with the Khan Academy notes that are available on Reddit. I am going to link everything down below in the description. So there's different versions flying around. There is a 300-page doc, there's a 100-page doc, and there's an 86-page doc, and they're essentially covering the same Khan Academy videos in the note form. Do whatever you're comfortable with. If 300 pages sound too overwhelming, do the 100-page or do the 86-page, or go through all of them and see what level of detail you're comfortable with. It's all up to you. But I highly recommend supplementing your psych soc with this document because it covers a lot more concepts that are not seen in these books. I will talk more about why I think I made that huge jump. It's not huge, but going from a 128 and 132, there was something different that I did, and I will definitely make a video on that after. Okay, so a lot of people wonder, do you need to memorize anything for the MCAT? And the simple answer is yes, you actually have to. I know I keep on saying don't memorize, don't understand the explanation, understand the concept thoroughly, but obviously there is going to be some memorization. Don't rely on it completely. So on the MCAT, you're not, most often, I would say 99% of the time, you're not given the equations, the chemistry equations, the physics equations. Like, I'll be super simple, like force equals to mass times acceleration, super simple physics equation, but you're not given that on the MCAT. And let's say a passage is talking about force, most likely it's not going to be given to you, so you have to get it from your mind. So understand the concept, but also memorize the equations. And when I was studying for the MCAT, I actually got this sheet from the internet, and I will link it down below again, and I went through all the equations and I made sure that I memorized them. I would, before a full length test or before my actual test, I used to write all these equations down onto a board and go through them, and that's just what you have to do, and I've linked it down below. So again, this is what I'm saying: understand the theory behind it, but also remember what the equations are, and you'll be set for chemistry, physics. Now, another thing that you need to memorize and know by heart is amino acids, which is the 3-letter abbreviation, the single letter abbreviation, the qualities, whether it is polar, non-polar, basic, acidic, the structure as well. Sometimes you might have to recognize the structure on a passage. They'll ask you, oh, what is the property of this amino acid? And they'll show a structure. And this could be intimidating if you haven't taken biochemistry. When I took biochem in undergrad, we had to memorize this anyway. So when I took the MCAT, it wasn't so intimidating. But if you haven't done this before, it could be actually daunting. So how you could learn this is again, memorization. I got a blank piece of paper and I would just write it down with the structure, the abbreviations, the name, and I would just periodically rewrite it again and again. But when I was taking the MCAT, this resource was not available. It's called Pixorize. Now, Pixorize basically is this new company. It turns hard to remember MCAT facts into cohesive visual pictures, making it easier for you to understand or remember. And this is perfect if you are a visual learner. Even if you're not a visual learner, this will really simplify your learning process. And these pictures are also accompanied by videos that will go through each element of the picture and go step by step to help associate different things to the concepts. And I mean, this is amazing. I wish this was available when I was taking the MCAT. And research has shown that learning through image association is 3 times more effective than using other traditional methods. And it furthermore, Pixarize provides you with the most high yield topics. So it not only has amino acids, it also has psychology, sociology concepts, and other concepts that you need to really know, high yield concepts for the MCAT. Now, I have a code, it's called Aisha's Corner. I have it right here. And if you use that code in your checkout, you get 50% off. And this resource only costs $35 for the whole year. $35, that's nothing. So be sure to check out Pixarize, see it for yourself. I've linked down the sample videos, sample visual cards that accompany it. And yeah, let me know if you use it and how helpful it is, because you know, I wish I had that when I was trying to memorize amino acids or psychology principles. Okay, so now let's move on to notable mentions of YouTube channels and playlists that really saved my life. Now, I'm pretty sure you all know about Khan Academy. There's like so many other like famous ones like Leah for Science. But I'm gonna talk about specific videos and like playlists that helped save me. The first one goes to Pre-Med HQ. This is right there. I have linked it down below too. Their physics playlist is absolutely amazing. Super simple. If you struggle with physics, understanding the theory behind it, understanding the concepts or the equations, watch that. I'm telling you, it was a lifesaver. I used it in my second attempt. And there were so many mnemonics that I learned from Pre-Med HQ that I used on my test day. So for example, I still remember this physics mnemonic to this day, and I took the MCAT like 2 years ago. So the mnemonic is Irv was a VIP because his CV was top quality. So it's right there. There's basically 3 pyramids or triangles, and this mnemonic derives 3 main electrostatic equations. So these are resistance, current, voltage. Anyway, so I used this on test day, and I'm so glad I learned it from Pre-Med HQ. So do check it out. I don't recommend anything unless it's super good. So the next one is for organic chemistry. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about this, but it's the Organic Chemistry Tutor. I went through the reaction playlist, and so good. I use this for my organic chemistry class. I use this for MCAT, and I know that on the MCAT, organic chemistry is a very small portion, and if you need to know SN1 and SN2 reactions really well. Other ones, not so much. But if you're trying to get a really high score, you want to make sure that you understand even the smallest details. So go through this playlist of all the reactions that he talks about, and it's more in depth than needed, but it's important to know it really well so you can answer the questions, the difficult questions that can come by. And another thing, if you don't know about MCAT, is there's no calculators allowed, and you need to know or be comfortable with mental math. And sometimes it's not even simple math like 2 + 2. It's sometimes you have to do mental math regarding scientific notation and whatever. I was super uncomfortable doing this. Like sometimes I had to do like 2.5 times 10 to the power of -1 times 5 times 10 to the power of -6. I don't know, random word, like numbers. But this video simplified mental math for me so much, especially because it deals with numbers in scientific notation. Please just watch this right now. It really helps save me because a lot of chemistry, physics, and sometimes bio too had questions where you had to calculate something using mental math. And when you are writing the MCAT and you're under a time crunch, you can seriously mess things up in terms of calculations. So please do check that out. I highly recommend it. This is me from the future. I forgot to mention one video that was very helpful. This is the playlist. It's called DNA Technology by Khan Academy Medicine, and it has these really helpful videos on all the biotechnology that you need to know for the MCAT. And I always struggled with the subject matter, but the way they explain it, especially if you haven't taken upper level bio courses or you just aren't sure how these technologies work, I highly recommend these videos. Okay, so it's 20 minutes almost. I'm going to do a part 2 on this, and where I will talk about general strategy, and I'll give you a weekly schedule. So I hope you found this really helpful. I'm gonna go on and make my part 2, but if you like this video, please do give a thumbs up, comment below, ask me any questions. I will answer them right away, and please do subscribe for more videos and follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Aisha S__ corner. I post exclusive content there. I post infographics, photos, a lot of stuff. Just go like it as well, and I hope you really like this video. I will see you in part 2.